Hey, I'm John Cannell. Today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making the most amazing sticky buns. So let's get started. First off, warm 1 cup or 240 ml of whole milk in your microwave or on stovetop to about 110 degrees. It's just there. So now we're gonna mix in half of the sugar, that's a 1/4 cup or 50 grams, along with our package of active dry yeast. Get it all in there. So waking your yeast up in milk takes a little bit longer, but I don't want to use water in sticky buns. They need to be as enriched and indulgent as possible, and for that, we need milk. We're gonna give this a stir so everything gets mixed together very well. I want the sugar to dissolve in here, really feed the yeast. This gets set aside for about 7 minutes or so, or until you see the yeast bubbling up and active. In the meantime, we're actually gonna melt 6 tablespoons or 85 grams of unsalted butter in a medium bowl. Just break it up a little bit first. Then we're gonna get the dry ingredients together to the microwave. In another bowl, we're measuring out 480 grams or 4 cups of all-purpose flour. If you're not using a scale, my one hint to you is just to fluff the flour in the container and sprinkle it into your measuring cup before leveling it off. If you pack too much flour in here, you're gonna get a dry, bready, sticky bun, which is not the best choice. You want it to be like melt in your mouth, so amazing. Finally, 1 teaspoon of salt. If you're using a fine grain salt, use less, because that packs in more salt in each teaspoon. Our scale is done. We're gonna grab a whisk and just combine the salt and flour, and our butter's melted, so we're gonna mix in 1 egg and 2 yolks. Into our melted butter, I'm adding 1 whole egg, and then for added richness, 2 egg yolks. You know when you're adding yolks into a recipe, it's gonna be really good. Oh, look at this. I guess it's been about 7 minutes. That is looking foamy and amazing. Okay, so right now we're gonna whisk these egg yolks and the egg into our butter. Brian and I love cinnamon buns. Sticky buns takes things to the next level. They're like dripping with this caramel and all the nuts. It's so good. Okay, that's whisked together. Save your egg whites for either a meringue or you can add them into your omelet. To our yolks and butter, I'm adding the remaining 1/4 cup of sugar, 50 grams, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Into the bowl of my stand mixer, I'm adding my egg vanilla butter solution, along with my very foamy yeast. Give that a quick whisk. Here's the deal, for all of my rich doughs, I like to add in half of the flour first and mix it in to make almost a slurry. Then we're gonna add the remaining flour and you'll see what happens. I'm gonna stir this together. It really gives your dough a head start, and I find that it just gives you a nice silky dough. I'm gonna switch to the whisk. And it's gonna go from lumpy and weird to like pancake batter almost. And then once that's all combined, we can add in the remaining flour. Attach your dough hook, and we're gonna mix on medium for about 5 minutes. Set a timer, do a couple dishes, and come back. It's been just about 5 minutes. Let's take a look. It's a very sticky dough. I'm gonna run this for an additional minute because 1, it's falling apart more than I'd like, and it's definitely sticking to my finger. If things look mega crazy, go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of flour. All right, let's take a look at this dough. That's nice, it's not sticking as much to my finger. I'm gonna place this onto a lightly floured surface, examine it a bit more, and give it a little bit of a knead. Get this onto your floured surface. Let's knead this together and just see how it works out. So the dough actually, while sticky, is really nice. It's close to being done. It should bounce back when you touch it, so it's bouncing. You can use a bench scraper to move this around. Come take a look at this. That's a nice bounce back. This is not pizza dough, so it's okay that it has a looser structure. It's part of the sticky bun magic. Right now, I'm gonna butter my bowl, a large one, because this will rise up. Transfer your dough to a buttered bowl, cover it up, and we're gonna let this rise in a warm place for about 2 hours. If this was pizza dough, 1 hour, but any rich dough like you have for this or cinnamon buns needs that extra rise time. While our dough rises, we're gonna add half a cup or 130 grams of unsalted butter right into a small pot. This is room temperature-ish, along with 3/4 of a cup of packed light brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of amazing honey, thank you bees, and half a teaspoon of salt to give it a little bit of a contrast. We're gonna place this over low heat, stirring occasionally so that this has like a brown sugar, butter, amazing topping that's gonna caramelize further in the oven when this bakes. You can mix this up a little bit to start, but you're gonna have to come back once that butter gets to melting. This looks and tastes amazing. While that heats up, just lightly butter your 9x13 baking dish. Doesn't need much, just a little bit. And in case you're wondering, we added honey into that because it's an inverted sugar and it'll help stabilize what's basically a caramel. You could have used like corn syrup, but honey, hello, tastes delicious. It's really nice flavor as well. This is almost melted. It's not gonna come to a boil or anything else. You're really just bringing it together and the sugar is gonna dissolve a bit. Look at that, so luscious. Ready to pour right into our prepared pan. Oh my gosh, that looks like heaven. Let gravity do the work and just pour that to the edges so it looks like this. We're gonna give 6 ounces of pecans a nice chop. Now I'm gonna sprinkle those chopped pecans all over the top. This gets set aside. Do not break a spoon out and start eating because it's very tempting, I know from experience. Our dough is ready. Let me show you what it looks like. Do you see this monster? That's a big, beautiful, just enriched dough. Using a pastry mat because it makes everything easier. Give it a sprinkle of flour. I'm gonna invert the dough just like that. That's why we buttered that bowl. Look at that, that was nice. And now with floured hands, I want to pull it out gently. It's relaxed for a long time, so it doesn't need to be crushed under the weight of a rolling pin, but you can roll it out. Just like that. Perfect. Because I used one of these bonnets, it lets the top dry just a bit, so I can just maneuver it. It's not greasy or anything. It really helps you spread the dough out. I have half a cup of packed brown sugar. Plop that out. I want 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You can add other spices if you love having them in your sticky buns. You let me know in the comments. I'm always up for new flavor combinations. Just break it apart and whisk it up. I melted 4 tablespoons of butter and we're just gonna brush the top so it creates a delicious glue for this filling. There's nothing more relaxing than brushing butter onto an enriched dough. Now we're gonna sprinkle this brown sugar cinnamon all over the top so it's in a nice even layer. You can use your hand just to even it out and make sure there's no bald spots. Now we're gonna roll the long end up. This is why a pastry mat is so handy. Look at this. How easy is that? This is rich, soft dough. So the best way to cut it is actually gonna be with floss. Just constrict it like this. And now you'll be able to maintain that beautiful spiral shape. My sticky buns are ready to go into the oven for 30 to 35 minutes at 375. After 15, I would cover this with foil so that they don't take on too much color and burn. There's a lot of sugar in here. In you go. Out of the oven, and it is bubbling and it smells so good. Leave this in the pan for just a few minutes, and while it's hot, run a knife or a spatula along the edge. Now we're gonna invert it onto our serving dish. Carefully. It came out great. That's nice. The roll itself is like cloud bread, infused with butter and brown sugar and cinnamon, topped with caramel and nuts. You've gotta make this recipe, and I'll see you in the next video. You gotta make this recipe, and if you like this video, check out my all-time baking favorites playlist.